Okay, today we're gonna do another segment on wiring, and the wiring we're gonna do is the wiring of the track in the two far sections, one on this bridge right here and one back by those mountains. We're gonna do two sections of wiring just so the current can reach all the far parts of the track and the train won't stop halfway through the track. First thing though, last time I told you I'd get you familiarized with my layout so far because I started making these videos halfway through. So let's do that quick, and I'll give you the main steps you want to do as you're making a layout. First step, you want to make this platform. That's the big thing. No other way to do it. That's where all your track, all your buildings, everything's going to be. Wiring's probably going to be underneath. We got this little pull-out thing now. It's got our two transformers, one for lighting that we did in last section, and a switch and the transformer for the train. That's always good. And then we got some wires hung back in there underneath. And this platform is going to be the main thing for scenery and track. Now, the next step, step 2, is to make your track bed. That's where your track's going to lay, and that's good because, see, if you had your track on scenery like this, it's not that sturdy, but it's good for the scenery. That's why it's there, not for the track. So once you get the track bed, that's this wood stuff underneath. We use wood. You can use extruded foam. A lot of people like to carve that out and use that. It's strong, and you can also use that for your scenery. But we went old style and we did the wood. Alright, the next thing, step 3 is probably these mountains. But I mean, you probably want to do the wiring first, depending on if you're wiring track or housing and scenery. If you're wiring track, do that third. If you're wiring scenery and houses and things, wait for that. So over here we got our mountains. Now how we did this was we took and stapled some screening to the platform, then stuffed the screening with this newspaper. And when we were done with that, it rose up a bit, and we covered it in plaster tape or plaster cloth, whatever you want to call it. And that's it for the mountains pretty much. Now those two far points, this one on the bridge and over by that mountain where that missing piece is, that's where we're going to start wiring this track. Okay? Usually you don't wire MTH track because the current will flow through the track just like Lionel. But in this case we have so much track and such a little transformer that there's not enough power to go around. So what you do is you want to split it up evenly. Now what we're going to do is take this little black thing out, and you see that metal piece? We're just going to wrap some wire around that and plug it back in. That way, as the current goes through here, it'll also hit this wire that's going to be wrapped around, and it's going to go through these 3 holes. There's going to be 3 different ones eventually, and that's going to go under the platform to those areas over there, and then it's going to be wired to the track. And we're going to do similar to this red one. We're missing that insert right there for the time being. It'll be back soon. Here's an example of some soldering. Alright, what that does is it holds your wire in. The wire won't come out, and they need to be attached to these 2 leads right here. This one's going to be your hot, and that one's going to be your ground. So you do that, but first, a lot of MTH track comes with a little thing here that you can pop out. Looks exactly like that. You're going to need to pop this out before you do it. And you can use some pliers to do that. Just bend it. Don't worry about it. Usually it'll just pop right out. That's what we just did here, and then that way your wire can just sneak in right here. Alright, so I'll show you how to solder. Okay, now here we are. This is the solder right here. Comes in a coil. And what I did here was I wrapped my wire around this lead. This is going to be the ground lead. And now usually just have a hand on here, make sure this doesn't wobble around. I'm going to kind of wing it because I'm holding this camera for you. And then you got soldering iron. Now this is an older one, I think. You can use a wood burner, I think, too, but just want to hold this in for a little bit. You'll feel a little pulse as it's warming up. And then just wait. Soon you'll see some smoke coming off of it. and that just shows that it's heating up. You know, you see that smoke? All right, now it's ready. Now you just want to apply it onto your thing, and you see that stuff coming off? That's your solder. You're just gonna mix that around. Now let it cool. You can set your soldering iron to the side. Now just wait. Now if you pull it, that's not going anywhere because this thing's nice and dry already. So you try to pull that, nothing's coming off, and that just keeps it sturdy and in there. Keeps the current flowing, nothing's interfering with that. Alright, the tools I use to accomplish this: the soldering iron right here, some solder, the wire stripper, and pliers always come in handy. You use this to cut your wire for the track that's wired to the track, and use the soldering iron obviously to iron solder, and the solder to get ironed. Okay, we're going to start back there where that missing piece is, and this is that piece. Now we're going to have to break off one of those things like I told you before, and then we're going to have to drill some holes down through the platform so that the wire can run here to the transformer. Okay, so I do all this, break it off, I'll get back to you, I'll have the soldering done, and I'll probably have the track in place, and I'll be able to show you how everything's rigged. Alright, now as you can see, I got my my 2 wires soldered on to these leads, and now I gotta just drill the holes in that empty section, put this in, run the wires down, then hook it up to the transformer. Alright, now there's that piece of track, and back there are the wires, and they're running down through platform, and you can see them. It's kind of dark. Should be able to see the wires. And over here, there they are. They're running up there, and they're still hanging there. I'm gonna hook them up to that little insert net. Now, I couldn't do the hot because I was missing that cord, but if you look right here, the ground is coiled around right there, going down that hole, and then it's headed all the way back there, and that's pretty much it for wire and track.